In this presentation, I explain Medicare Part D drug coverage and how the donut hole works. There are a couple of ways to get your Medicare coverage. One is to use your Medicare card and get a supplement to fill the gaps in Medicare. And in this case, a person would get a standalone Part D plan. Another way to get Medicare coverage is through Medicare Advantage. And most Medicare Advantage plans include Part D drug coverage. Now the Part D, that is part of a Medicare Advantage plan, operates in the same way as a standalone Part D plan. Now, Part D is voluntary, but there is a penalty if a person does not sign up for Part D when they're first eligible. It's a bit of a complicated formula, but suffice it to say, if a person waits 5 years to sign up for Part D, let's say when they're 70 years old, they will face a 50 to 60% premium penalty when they do sign up for Part D. So it could be a pretty hefty penalty. Now, Part D plans have premiums that range from $15 a month to over $90 a month, although some plans will cost $0 if a person is enrolled in a Medicare Advantage plan with a $0 premium. Some Part D plans have deductibles, and that is where the person would pay the first $310 of their drug costs each year. Some plans cover generics in the gap, not too many anymore, but a few. Some plans have a bigger formulary, and some plans have a limited formulary, and the formulary is the list of drugs that the plan covers. Part D plans have copays as well as monthly premiums. Generics are generally called a Tier 1. And on one plan, a generic might cost $2 as the copay. On another plan, the copay might be $7. Preferred brands are generally Tier 2 drugs. Tier 3 drugs might be non-preferred brands, and I like to say that they would prefer that you not take this brand drug, and that's where they charge a very high copay. Specialty drugs will have a copay of 25 to 33% of the retail price of the drug. And I have read recently that people who are taking cancer drugs that now come in the form of a pill have been very shocked to go to the pharmacy to fill their prescription and to be told their copay is $1,000, and that is 25% of the cost of the drug. Now, I use Boniva as an example to explain how Part D can be a bit confusing and complicated. I have seen Boniva as a Tier 2 on one plan and a Tier 3 on another plan. That means quite a different copay. And I have also seen that Boniva is not on some plans' formularies. Why Part D has to be so complicated, I don't know. To explain the donut hole, I think it's helpful to use visual aids, and this is what I use. Now let's say a person takes Lipitor and Boniva, and those are Tier 2 drugs. And on this particular plan, the copay is $42. But the Part D plan is paying $128 for the Lipitor and $110 for the Boniva. So each month, the person pays $84 in copays, but the plan is paying $238 for a total cost of $322 per month. And this far right column is important because it is a running total, and this is what gets a person to the donut hole. So let's see how that works. You can see that the running total adds up throughout the year until in September, when the total drug costs for this person have added up to $2,898, and that is over the threshold that puts a person into the donut hole. That threshold is $2,840. So now the person is in the donut hole. And you can see here that the Part D plan is no longer paying towards the drug costs, and the person gets to pay the full amount. Now this goes on through the end of the year, and it starts all over again in January. But in 2011, there is some good news, and that is a 50% discount on the price of a person's brand drugs. So instead of paying the full cost of his drugs, this person will get a 50% discount and will only be paying half that total amount. So this is some relief for people with high drug costs. This person's drug costs aren't too bad, but some people might have a $500 or $800 or $1,000 per month cost for their drugs. Most people who go into the donut hole do so around the end of the year, October, November, or December, and so they don't come out of the donut hole. But a person with very high drug costs, like that person who paid $1,000 for their cancer pills, would go into the donut hole and out of it. When a person's out-of-pocket costs total $4,550, and those are copays that the person pays before the donut hole and the full payment while they are in the donut hole, when that totals $4,550, the person comes out of the donut hole and goes into the catastrophic coverage stage. Now, just one point there. While the person is getting full credit for the cost of the drug in the donut hole, remember they're only paying 50% of the price of that drug. That's their help that they're getting now as of 2011. So when a person goes into the catastrophic coverage stage, they will pay 5% of the cost of their drugs, or $6.30 for their brand drugs, whichever would be lower. Some people can get extra help with their Part D premium and their copays. People earning less than these amounts can qualify for the low-income subsidy. Now, they will also need to have assets below a certain limit, but if people have income below these amounts, they should apply for help. They can do it through their state or through the Social Security website, ssa.gov. And when people qualify for the low-income subsidy, they will pay $6.30 or less for brand drugs, and $2.50 or less for generics. And they have no donut hole. So extra help can be very important, and an awful lot of people qualify for this help but don't realize it. So it's something to be investigated. So that's how Part D works. This is just a brief overview. There's a lot more to talk about with Part D, in particular in finding a Part D plan, making sure that all of your drugs are covered under that plan, especially with a Medicare Advantage plan. Sometimes the Advantage plan looks very attractive because it has a zero premium, and people sign up for it, but if they haven't done their research, they could be very shocked to find that one or more of their drugs might turn out to be actually pretty expensive, a Tier 3 on that Medicare Advantage plan, or not even covered by the plan. So that's something that people need to watch out for as they consider Part D as a standalone plan or as part of a Medicare Advantage plan.